So I'm really excited to get to introduce Fiona Gillogly to you. I met Fiona 3 years ago in the middle of summer. I was up at the Sierra Nevada field campus, and I was there early over the weekend. The following week, I was going to be teaching a class on nature journaling. Surprise. I was, this is Sierra Nevada Field Campus is San Francisco State's university site. It's this incredible rustic location up near Yuba Pass, but just the right kind of rustic. You're still really comfortable eating incredible food. And all sorts of amazing people come through there. And that's where all sorts of crazy collaborations are born. And this is one of them. There's a knock at the door of the director's cabin, and I guess Beth and Sean were they had to pick something up there, and they were coming through. They had hoped, they thought, like, their daughter seems to be kind of getting into nature and drawing and things like that, and really loved birds. And they thought, like, well, and they had tried to get into the class, but there was a long waiting list. It was full. They weren't able to do that. But I opened the door, and there they were, and we just chatted for a while. And they mentioned, like, oh, yeah, our daughter's really into nature and drawing, and guess what? Tomorrow's her birthday.
I did not say it like that.
She didn't, no. Yeah, actually, it came out the right way. But, and I thought, well, that's cool. Well, let's happy birthday to you, Fiona, and let's just sort of sit down and do a 1-hour class. So when you're a teacher, something you really pay attention to is the feedback from the student, and is this stuff that they're kind of getting through. Every once in a while, you can see fire in somebody's eyes. And so we had our little 1-hour class, and Beth and Sean sat there as it became a 2-hour class to a 3-hour class. You know how I'm not good at looking at clocks? I think we got into this flow state because 4 or 5, I don't know how many hours later, we finally decided, we should probably eat something. This kid she was on fire. And so we decided, like, wouldn't it be fun if just next morning, why don't we wake up early and go sketching together? So we woke up early, we went sketching together, and that started the next 3 years of an incredible friendship. And it's cliche to say, that the teacher learned from the student. This is a case where you can very precisely, very directly see exactly how that happened, though. I have never met a person with a mind that is as connecting and curious as Fiona's. And she has opened doors to me in my practice about what it means to pay attention in a way with just insatiable curiosity. And that, the people who took our curiosity workshop, you got, a lot of what you saw there is the fruits of this 3-year friendship and partnership and working together. Fiona, outside of that, has got all these crazy things going on. She's a cellist. She is a writer. She is an artist. She is involved in theater. As a matter of fact, tomorrow morning, crack of dawn, her dad is picking her up, calling her off to Sacramento because it's the final dress rehearsal before the play she's in. She's in Romeo and Juliet. Guess what? She's Juliet. And she is going to own that role. So if anybody's in the Sacramento area, if there's still tickets available, are there, Beth? Yeah, there are. I'm going to suggest you get in on this. It's going to be one of these mind-blowing presentations of it. Because she said so. So I would like all of you to give a warm welcome and open your hearts and minds to the message of Fiona Gillogly. You got this.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for coming. There are so many of you in this audience that I hold in such high esteem, and I am so incredibly honored to be speaking to you tonight. So, as Jack said, my name is Fiona Gillogly. I'm 16 years old, but I'm not necessarily your typical teenager. I do not watch TV, rarely use a computer. I just recently got a cell phone, much to my chagrin. I hate it. And I only use it to text my parents if I'm out of town, on bird camps, etc. So otherwise, I have no social media accounts. I don't want any social media accounts. Yes. Woo! I have loved art and drawing basically all my life. I love drawing in all of its forms. I also love nature. My family lives right on the edge of a beautiful canyon. This is a river that's about half a mile from our house, and there's me. And so we go on walks on these trails probably 3 times a week and journal quite often there. So I feel really blessed to be so surrounded by all of this nature. So I attended Waldorf school since I was 3 years old, where art and nature are a super integral part of the curriculum. So there's all sorts of, like in the preschool and the kindergarten, we'll go for walks and play with leaves and play in the mud and throw acorns, and we have a wonderful time. So when I was 13, I had the just complete angelic blessing of the meeting with Jack, and that moment completely changed my life, and Jack and I became friends and sketching buddies, and I feel so honored. So through Jack, I learned about nature journaling. Here's the 2 of us. So I learned about nature journaling, and I realized it's a combination of 2 things I love, art and nature, and what could be better than that? So since then, I have completed more than 1,600 pages of nature journals in these past 3 years. So I love doing this, and I do it a lot. So this is just an example of one of my pages. I was in Squaw Valley and looking at flowers there. So I love nature journaling for so many reasons. Journaling really helps me connect and engage with nature, and it also allows me to explore the wonders of nature. So this is a starling joint comparison. I had the amazing blessing of being able to go to Tanzania with Jack this past summer. And so this is one of the pages from there. So it also helps me notice more about the world around me and also have vivid memories. So if I go to a page in my nature journal, I can flip to any page and go right back there and be like, oh yeah, we were sitting in the Jeep and there were the zebras, and there were the oxpeckers, and there was all the incredible flora and fauna. So it takes me right back to the moment, and I love that, to be able to open my book and be like, and there are my memories right there in watercolor. One of my favorite things that I've experienced about nature journaling is the joy of curiosity. I love to intentionally look for mysteries, and I found that when I tune into mysteries, they show up for me, which is really cool. This was me at Dillon Beach. I was just walking along the beach, and I was looking for something cool to sketch. So I'm kind of into doing this now, of making a landscape and then having arrows off of what I found. So I found this dead common murre on the beach, and I was like, well, this is strange. Like, I don't usually find just dead birds on the beach. So I was looking at it and sketching it, and so then I kind of had this like lens of now looking for dead common murres, and suddenly I started finding all of these dead common murres along the beach, and they were all like higher on the beach, so they're not like where people would usually walk. So if I hadn't been tuned in to looking for strange things, I would have never seen these. And so I came up with a lot of questions of why are there like 15 dead common murres along this stretch of beach? Did some like disease hit a colony nearby? Like, what happened? So that's just kind of an example of me being tuned into mysteries, and then here they are. So this is me at Eastern Egg Rock. Some of you know it in Maine. And I got to be in a bird blind for an hour, which was just so exciting. And puffins like 10 feet away. So I did like a really zoom in on the puffin face, and that was really, really fun. So I got a ton of questions about this. That was super, super fun. So one of my favorite things about journaling is the questions. Asking questions is so fun. I love to ask questions. And there is chemically, there's brain research that shows that when you are curious, your brain gets dopamine. So like it actually like chemically feels good technically. So that's also really cool. So one important part of why asking questions is fun is I don't worry about the answers. So if I had to go through and answer every single question I had asked in my journal thus far, I would have enough work for the rest of my life. Like, I have asked so many questions. And the reason why is because I'm not worrying about the answers. If I was worrying about the answers, there would be no questions. Because I would be concerned, okay, how can I even look this up? How does that even work? So just asking questions freely is really, really fun, and I love doing it. So I start with the basic questions, just the very simple questions, what is it, etc. People who, I've heard people talk to me and call them the stupid questions, and I was like, well, not quite, because you need those simple questions in order to get to the more interesting questions and the incredibly cool questions. So what I found is the best questions come after the really, really simple ones. And I think of these as question chains, of starting with the simple ones and then getting more complex as they go. So this is a hairy woodpecker that I saw in my canyon. I was very blessed to see it. I was on a trail with my mom and saw something fly in. I was like, oh, it's a Nuttall's woodpecker, because it was about the size of a Nuttall's woodpecker. I was like, okay. So, but then I look at it, I'm like, no, but that is the colors of a downy. Like, that's really weird. And so then it flew over me, and it made the vocalization. And it was not a downy, it was a hairy. So downy and hairy look virtually the same, except for vocal difference and bill length and size. Okay, so the downy woodpecker kind of has a tsit, 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 and the hairy is more kick, 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 kick. So it's kind of a sharper noise. So it flew over and did its little call, and I jumped up and down. I was so excited. And it landed in a tree right next to me, and that was really cool. So another thing of when I'm tuned into mysteries, they show up, if I hadn't stayed and looked at it longer, I would have just dismissed it as a Nuttall's woodpecker and called it a day. So yeah, that was a really cool little experience there. It's very interesting. Kind of outside of the nature journaling world, there are not many people that ask questions. And when we were small children, we asked a lot of questions. Like if you've been in a car with a 5-year-old, they're questioning everything, asking questions about random things all the time. And at some point, we stop asking questions. And in fact, a lot of people, teenagers, adults alike, are afraid to ask questions. And we don't want to look stupid. We don't want people to know that we don't know the answers, but it's okay to not know the answers. It's okay. And I found that building the skill of curiosity in the safety of my own nature journal has given me the opportunity to practice asking a lot of questions concerning other topics, and it gives me the courage to do it more and more. And getting curious in my nature journal has enabled me and empowered me to look beyond my journal and question everything around me. So I think that now, at this moment in our planet's current history, that asking questions is currently vital to our survival and staying on this planet. If we continue to fear questions and not ask them because we're afraid to look stupid, we will miss the opportunity to solve these very difficult problems, and we will miss the opportunity to make the world a better place. So one of the best questions I have ever heard came from Mary Oliver, a poem called A Summer Day. I'm sure many of you know it. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And just, that's one of the most poignant questions I have ever heard. And I now know my answer, that I want to spend my life observing, wondering about, and standing in awe of nature and all it has to offer. But the awe of nature is only the beginning of what we need to do. I want to spend my life taking care of nature and fighting very hard to protect it. And in order to do this, I need to ask lots of questions. And I encourage all of you to ask questions, both in your nature journal, starting with the simple questions, then getting to the more complex ones, and then getting to the ones around you. Thank you so much.